I had a belief like I can't make more money than my dad ever made.
Mm.
Now, even in seeing the belief, once I saw it, I went, oh, that makes no sense. He wants me to be successful. Boom. Immediately, I made like 30% more, like within 3 or 4 months.
So we have to do the work. We get to do the work in order
Yeah.
to uncover that so we can move past it. Welcome to the Be She podcast. And today is going to be a whirlwind. I know it because the guest who I have on today is amazing. I'm so excited to have her here. She was one of my guiding lights in my life in a training program that I was in. So when she reached out and said she's ready, I was like, oh yes, we're getting you on like
Uh,
yesterday. So welcome, Lisa, to the show. I am so beyond feeling blessed and privileged and excited for you to be here with me today.
Oh, thank you so much. I listen to your podcast and it's so rich and wonderful. And I'm like, oh, I want to be on that.
Ah,
I'm like,
thank
yes.
you. Yes, we're going to have some fun today. Before we dive in, I'm going to give a little brief intro and then introduce you, and we will get rocking and rolling.
I love
So
it.
the Be podcast is sponsored by HLH Growth Solutions, helping business leaders become visible to build authority, dominate social media, and drive revenue growth. If you're tired of inconsistent leads and missed opportunities, Spotlight to Scale is for you. Head over to spotlighttoscale.com for your free blueprint download. And today, like I was mentioning, Lisa Kalmin is in the house, and she is a renowned transformational trainer, money mindset expert, and sought after speaker with over 38 years of experience, empowering individuals to break free from limiting beliefs and create lives of purpose and abundance. Known for her dynamic coaching style, Lisa has worked with tens of thousands of clients to shatter financial barriers and embrace wealth with confidence. As the creator of the Earn Method and the author of award-winning book, The Problem is How You See the Problem, Lisa combines proven strategies with mindset mastery to help clients unlock their full potential and build thriving financial futures. So we're talking money today. And I
Money.
love this topic. So Lisa, can you share more about you with us and let's see how you were behind the scenes, George. We were talking about money mindset and what money blocks and things like that. So I'm excited to dive into that conversation today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Heidi. Thank you. And as I said, I'm so like whenever somebody I've coached or trained is doing some big things in the world, I get so like proud like a mommy, like a mama bear. So I'm so excited for you. I've been training transformational work, which is really our belief system, our mindset, the way we view the world for decades.
Mm.
And about a decade ago, I started to dive into money mindset. So the work I do in other places is much more general, like it's overall, and we don't necessarily dive into how does it affect you the way you look at money.
Mm.
So I began to dive into that, and partly out of my own experience, like I noticed like wow, sometimes money would flow
Mm.
into my life, and it would be I felt like the flow and ease and abundance. Sometimes it would be really hard, and not a lot changed on the outside. So I
Mm.
thought, well, this has got to do with me and the way I'm viewing it and my mindset. So I dove into it and found that most people, even if they've done some kind of personal development, don't really look at what is it that is affecting the way they relate to money, wealth, prosperity, and abundance. So I dove into that and really started to look at what is money really. And that's where it really got exciting because we think money is a tool, we think money is this stuff, but it's really just an exchange of energy. Yeah. So.
What does that mean that money is an exchange of energy?
Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking. If you think about, first of all, let's think about money over the centuries.
Uh-huh.
Like 5 or 6 or 800 years ago, it was like fur and pelts was what we exchanged.
Mm.
And then it was coin, some kind of coin, gold, silver, copper. So I read these novels that they use the term coin for money. Then it was this paper stuff called cash. I still like it, but most people don't use it anymore. Then we had these check things, where you write out a check, and now we're talking about our generation. And then it was credit cards or debit cards, the little plastic stuff. And now it's this. It's just your phone. You just put your phone on there. And I have this thinking that someday we're going to think I'm going to buy this and it'll be on our doorstep. Like it could be that. I
Wow.
notice I barely talk about anything and then it's on my feed.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It is on my feed. So if money has changed its form, and everything is energy. If we break everything down to its smallest particle, it's just, molecules bouncing around. So money, one of my favorite definitions is money is an exchange of creative value, an energetic exchange of creative value. So if money's ultimately energy, because everything's energy, then we can attract it and it can flow. Just like our energy we can attract, we attract, love, or we attract joy, and we also flow out with all of that. So then it gets really fascinating because either we are being and doing things, we're looking at life, or we're behaving in a way that allows and opens the flow, or we're blocking it. We're blocking it. Yeah, one more thing. I say one more thing about that.
Yeah.
There's not a shortage of money. There's actually more money right now on this planet than there was when we started this podcast 5 minutes ago.
I've heard that over and over and over again. And I think a lot of people listening be like, what are you talking about? There's a recession, or maybe people believe we're moving into one, or there's, not. Why am I struggling with money so much then if there's just more money available to everyone? How come I am not getting it, or I can't have it, or there's always not enough money at the end of my month? So you had mentioned earlier about energy flowing and abundance and blocks. And you had shared that you had dove into this yourself. Like you noticed when you were moving through this journey of your own that not much change on the outside. So what was it that you realized, and what did change when you were having these moments of, okay, I'm not in abundance flow?
Yeah. So personally, for me, one of the key places that shifted for me is like when I was single and just taking care of I was like, sometimes it was more, something, but I was always clear. I had this belief, I'll take care of myself and it'll be fine. Then I got married. I had children. At 51, I had twin boys. I did not birth them. And, I have 15-year-old twin boys. Once I got married and I had kids, I started my mindset went into duty, obligation, burden. Like I love my family. It wasn't about burden, like, oh, I hate doing this, but I felt like, oh my God, I got to take care of them. And so I began to, as I look back, I began to be scarce, worried, anxious.
The fear kicks in, right?
Fear kicks in. And I've often heard it said that we attract what we fear. Like what we put our energy on is what we attract. Well, yeah. So I got scarce, and then there'd be moments where I let it go, and so it's a fascinating thing to watch. And a lot of well, let me go back to one thing you said. Why, if there's so much money, am I feeling scarce? Well, think about how many people in the world, and the economy of wealth is not very just, I don't think. But we know there are many billionaires that attract money in the worst of times, the best of times, all of it. So it has to do with a lot of it has to do with what kind of environment or downloaded beliefs or modeling did people see when they were growing up around money. So I actually have one of the things I want to give your listeners is I have a little high earners like quiz or not high earners quiz. You can really take this quiz and see where is your mindset stuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to give you awareness of like what you should be focusing on first as far as overcoming that stuckness.
Yeah. First, it's going to give you like insight into how do I relate to money and wealth? Like, do I relate to it from a place of generating and being an abundant person who can go out and make things happen? Or am I operating from a way of looking at it, a mindset that is more scarce and limited? So it's first going to give you sort of where you are now And then I actually do a course and I use what I call my earn method to work people through how do you then open up that flow. So
Would you be willing to share what your earn method is, how that works and how you help women?
yeah, absolutely. I call it earn method because the E is embrace money as energy. And we
Mm,
can talk some more about that.
yeah.
Embrace money as energy. So really see how does your perspective either allow it or block it, as well as, some of, there's cultural things there too that stop us. The world is lives mostly in a scarcity context. People who are abundant have to get out of that scarcity sort of the water we're swimming in. I'll call
Right.
it that. The A is activate your vision. So uh, most people, even though they have goals, are disconnected from what's the vision I have for who I am as an abundant being. Maybe it's a lot of money, and maybe it's not about money as much as it is about an experience of life, joy, freedom, connection, things like that. And then the R is raise your income. Okay, what is the block to recognize your own worth? I've so often seen, especially women, who either are afraid to have conversations about money, whether it's their spouse, their employer, their clients, because of either programming or their fear of rejection or conflict, or that they just don't own their worth. They don't own their value. They don't ask for what the incredible value they give. Women are the most effective people I've ever met. Like what women get done is quite something. And then the N is nurturing prosperity habits. What are things you can do consistently to continue to open the flow and expand it? So that's what the method is.
Thank you for that. I have two questions on that. The first
Yeah.
one, I'll go to the second question first because I want to talk into the worth. Why is it that us as women, we juggle so many hats? We're doing so many things. And then, we want to, like, you're a businesswoman, you have two teenagers that you basically, at 51, you became a mom.
Yeah, yeah. Like they're not out of high school till I'm almost 70. I'm really aware of this.
You look amazing. You don't even
Thank
look
you.
close to
Thank you.
70. And you decide at 51 and you're still, building your business, running your business, you're a successful career woman. How do you juggle all of that? And but these are three questions I'm coming up with now. But
Yeah,
I really
great.
want to touch on the worth. Because why is it that you see that women don't hold the value of themselves and they're I know for women in business, like especially in the online space, like there's so many that are afraid to charge. We give it away and then we're afraid to raise our prices for the fear of maybe they're nobody's going to buy from us. Then what do you,
Yeah.
why is this happen? Like, why did you see this happening? Because you've done so much work around this. And how do we move through that? How do you coach them or help them?
Yeah. Well, the worth piece of it is, in my experience, let me just give you a couple of stats that blew me away. So in 2022, which is not that long ago, like we just ended 2024, women made 78 cents to every dollar that men make. And for most women, that equals out to about $12,000 a year.
Wow,
It's a lot of money.
a lot of
It's a
money.
lot of money. And of women-owned businesses, 88% make less than $100,000.
Wow.
And only 1.6% make more than 500 to a million. And then it's like even smaller who make over a million. And if we know that what it takes to live in our world, that's rough. It's rough. So the worth thing comes from two places in my experience. One is there is a cultural conversation, which is what the statistics just relate to. I mean, some of the business owners, this other stuff, but there's a cultural conversation about women's worth. We have been in a much more male dominated patriarchal culture. We know this, all the women listening to you, it's not new news. And one of the effects of that has been the cultural payment, how money's exchanged with women. We remember a few years ago, the women's soccer, the World Cup soccer team asking for equal pay as the men. It's going to happen in basketball. It's going to happen, in sports. So that was something that you and I and the women listening were born into. Now, does it mean we can't get beyond it? Absolutely, we can get beyond it. So don't be a victim to the culture and just it's there. You need to know it's there. Number two is the modeling, the messaging, and the beliefs that were transferred to them when they were young. So some of the questions will relate to this, but if you think about like your listeners, just take a moment and I want you to remember what was modeled to you, either spoken or just in their behavior through your either your parents, your family of origin, the people you hung around. It could be mom and dad, could be just mom, could be just dad, could be grandparents, could be aunties, those people that were and uncles right around you, cousins. What was modeled around money? What were the messages that were sent? And I'll give you one example for me. I realized as I started doing this work, my dad worked in retail. He worked really hard. We were middle class. We weren't super wealthy, but we absolutely had enough, completely had enough. When there was an energy crisis in the 70s, we've all heard about that now that President Carter died. My dad would literally, I would leave a room and he would go around and turn out the lights behind me. He would just walk around and turn out the lights behind me. Now, he didn't say anything. He was a very calm and, just a great dad. But I got this message like, oh, something's like there's not enough, or I've got to be cautious, or I've got to be careful. Yeah, so that's just a one. And then another thing I realized, and this took me a long time to get to, had I done this, I would have gotten into it faster. When I was not in transformation, I worked for a large financial services company and I had the capacity to make a lot of money. I have an MBA. I had a capacity to make a lot of money, but I kept making exactly this amount. Like it was at the time $75,000. Like boom, boom, boom. Nothing I did, even though I did different stuff, same. Well, I had this belief breakthrough that my dad was in retail and the most money he ever made was $75,000 when I was young, more later, but when I was young. And so I had an unconscious, and by the way, the beliefs running us are the ones that are unconscious. They're hidden. We can't see them. Mm. I had a belief like I can't make more money than my dad ever made. Mm. Now, even in seeing the belief, once I saw it, I went, oh, that makes no sense. He wants me to be successful. Boom. Immediately, I made like 30% more, like within 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So the worth thing, coming back to it, is deep. There's cultural and there's also personal.
Mm. And a lot of it's subconscious. We don't even know that it's where it came from. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Yeah. So we have to do the work. We get to do the work in order to uncover that so we can move past it. So if you're
open that flow.
And you're feeling like this is me, right? I feel like I'm at this ceiling and I'm hitting it. And oh my gosh, you're having your aha moment. You definitely want to be reaching out and connecting with Lisa. So Lisa, tell us more about my other question. You brought up cultural a number of times, and I know what you touched on the patriarchy piece of it, but there's also another cultural aspect of it, which is familial, or what we're raised in. And so if we're swimming in it, because you mentioned in the water that we're swimming in, and the beliefs are coming from them, what are some steps that we could take to move out of them? If it's because, we can't just walk away from our family, right? So
absolutely,
we want to have something different. We get to choose different, but that choice isn't always easy. So what are some steps that somebody listening can take, action steps to kind of start moving toward that path of abundance versus?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Yeah. So it is complicated. It's sometimes very difficult. So number one, become aware of the way you're relating and looking at money, finances, culture, your own ability to make money. So I'd say take the quiz and look at what are some of my beliefs, because it categorizes people from there. And then secondly, journal about what was modeled to me. What did how did my mom relate to money? How did my dad relate to money? Sometimes it's like they didn't talk about money. Your parents didn't talk about money at all in front of you, but then you go to sleep and you can hear them arguing about money later. And then it leaves a negative taste in people's psyche because like, oh, money causes fights. I don't. How you relate to wealthy people. If you think all wealthy people are jerks or greedy or whatever, you don't want to be that way. So you're going to unconsciously push it away. So journal about that. Thirdly, and again, we dive into this in my course. How do you relate to money? Like so appreciation, gratitude, every penny, everything that comes in, be celebrating. Are we giving our resistance and sort of like ickiness or to money, or is like, oh yay. Like I used to like think if a penny was on the ground, maybe I'd pick it up, maybe I wouldn't. But now I'm like, oh, thank you for giving me some abundance, you know. So just that level of vibration opening up supports, does.
Yeah,
So
I love that you brought that up because, how many times for you listening, how many times have you walked by a penny in the street? You're like, it's just a penny. But that's a signal to the universe, to God, whatever it is that you believe in,
right.
raising your vibration and going, okay, well, obviously they don't need that. They're good. They don't need any more. And that's part of that, being and and bringing that wealth and that abundance into you is like Lisa said, celebrating that penny like it's $1 million. How excited would you be if somebody handed you $5,000 or
Right.
$1,000 or $1 million? Treat that penny the same, because God, the universe, doesn't know the difference. It just knows that you're excited and it wants to bring you more excitement. Like
That's right.
allow it to conspire to support you, not against you.
Absolutely. And same when you spend money. Like if you go buy a cup of coffee at Starbucks or whatever, be like, oh, I'm so like, thank you for the service and here, etc. And also be in your affirmation of what you want. There's a story of Jim Carrey, the actor,
Mm.
having a $2 million check that he wrote
I love that story.
when he struggled. He had this $2 million check in his wallet, and he would look at it every single day that he, was out and about. And then his first big movie, and I don't remember which one it was a $2 million salary. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I love that story,
Visualizing.
and I forgot all about it, and so thank you for reminding us of that, because it's true. Like, you are the creator of what you have or don't have, and so why don't you create exactly what you want by manifesting it beforehand, living like you're already in it. And I know for some people that's
Absolutely.
challenging, but that story like really puts the visual to it, the actual action step to it. It's not just imagining, oh, I have $2 million. He literally wrote the check,
Right.
looked at
Right.
it every day and created that. And I wrote down, I didn't write a check. Maybe I need to, Lisa. I wrote a
Mhm.
piece of paper and I literally wrote $1 million and I put it on my mirror in my bathroom. And now I have it on my
Right.
desk in my office and I look at it
Right.
every day. I touch it and I get excited
Right.
about it. And I'm trying to get
Right.
into that feeling of it. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's a like even when you spend money, think of it as a thank you note.
yeah,
Like there's if I know we don't use again cash, but thank you note for my coffee. Thank you note for my dry cleaning. Thank you note for my parking spot, whatever it is.
yeah, so
Yeah.
good. Yeah, and you mentioned what was it that you were sharing? Oh, when you find a penny and things like that, like, and also having money go have a place, right? Like money needs to have a place to go. So when you're bringing money in, you should like what have an idea of where that money gets to go
Sure.
for you. And also like money, organizing your money. I know like some of us, we have like crumpled money in our purse, or we have, it's not all organized. So when you have the penny, not just throwing it somewhere, like actually putting it into your wallet where it belongs, like
Yes.
is that important as well?
Yeah, I think it shows the care you have for what it is. Like I take my extra change and put it in I have a little case.
Okay.
It used to be a jar, but I save it for my boys. And when it gets full, I just give them that and they can do whatever they want with it.
Right.
So I have a place for just extra change. Yes. So if you have crumpled up money, that's a signal to the energy of money, like I'm not really caring about you, I'm not really taking care of you. And there's many places people can research, okay, if I wanted to bring money in and put it in different pots, here's my necessities, here's my long-term growth, here's my education pot, here's my fun joy pot. There's a way to do that. There's a way to do that. You have a relationship with money. think about how you relate to money, talk to money in your head. Would you ever talk to your spouse that way? Would you talk to your kids that way? You know, be in relationship with money the way you would want to be in relationship with someone you loved deeply.
Yeah, that's such a good point. So I have a question. Let's talk a little bit. We want to talk about your program,
Yep.
but I also want to talk about business because we are the
Yes.
female entrepreneurs that are listening. So what are some, what made you decide to launch your business, and what are some challenges that you experienced along the way?
Well, let's see. Because I worked for a transformational company and then I started my own. Interestingly enough, I think for me, I listened to the guidance and didn't really realize I was listening to the guidance.
Mm,
Like how I got to California is in my head. Now, this is much more was going on. I literally needed to move. I lived in Washington, D.C. area. I needed to move apartments. My lease was up. I was leaving that particular place, single at the time. And so I had this opportunity show up in California, and I'm like, well, I got to move anyway. I'll just move to California.
mm,
Like that's how it felt to me. But what it was is I listened to there was a yes waiting for me.
okay.
There's a yes waiting for me. So here's what I would say in starting my business. My business was successful for many, many years, and now I let that go to do other stuff. But uh, because I was driven by the vision of service I was giving people.
Mm,
So when I was driven by the service I was giving my students, as you know, the trainings you experienced similar, I I flourished. The trainings flourished. It was fun. It was challenging, and I was driven by a vision bigger than me.
mm,
So that's, I would say, the biggest thing. The one of the things I find that women do, I bumped into this. So of course I had people that worked with me, worked for me. I was it. I was the CEO-ish, where I was the CEO of something, family, whatever it is. And I noticed I was hesitant to be direct and honest when it was time to let somebody go, when it was not a match, when
mm,
it was not serving them or serving the business or the client. I hesitated at times to make a change. And I think women get caught up in worrying about other people's feelings, including their employees, and that could be a stop. So there's always a compassionate, loving, kind way to let somebody go or to move them out of a different position or whatever you're doing. And remember, and this is what I had forgotten in moments, is you're serving them as well.
right,
Because if it's not working for you, it's not working for them.
right.
So
Yeah.
I think
It's
that
easy
would
for
be
people to just stay stuck where they are because it's out of the comfort zone to make a change.
yeah.
But good if
Yeah,
we,
and I think women are particularly worried about other people's feelings, and so it stops them from making certain entrepreneurial or business decisions they need to make.
Mm. Yeah, very true. Good reminder. So let's go back to your family life. You shared that you
Yeah,
became a mom at 51 to
yeah,
twin boys, not even just one child. Like you made this big, huge change at,
yes,
middle stage of our life. I'm 52, so my
yeah,
children are 14 and 15. I'm
yeah.
like, I couldn't imagine starting now, and I think that's amazing and incredible. And I want to hear more about it. But my big question for you is for those listening who are moms and they're
Yeah,
thinking about whether they're starting a business or taking to the next level, and maybe they're in a space of like, how do I balance it all? I'm not
sure.
winning this game. How did you do it? And how?
Well, yes, that's a great question. So for those of you that have kids, want to have a kid, want to start something new, this requires partnership. Whether you're married or not married, whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship, this requires partnership. Whether the partnership is with your spouse or your partner, or the partnership is with your parents or your friends or your down the street daycare. It's partnership. You've got to figure out, how do I make requests for what I need in order to do this? Let me back up 1 second. First of all, let's say you want to start a business, you got kids, you're like, how would I ever do this? Sit down, and you are married or you do have a partner. Sit down with your partner, sit down with your spouse and say, I have a dream. I have a dream to do this. I think it would be incredible. I want to be fulfilled that way. I love you. I love our family. I don't want that to suffer. Can we create a partnership? Can we generate a partnership here?
Hmm.
Because most of you have married people who love and respect you, and they're going to be like, okay. Now, it doesn't mean it won't be uncomfortable for them, especially if it's a man. Won't, that it won't be uncomfortable, that it won't be different, that it won't require. And notice, I'm going to get to some deep thing real quick. Notice if you set them up not to be in partnership with you.
Hmm.
See, I think women hold everything, do everything. And I also think we, and we're good at it. We're good at juggling balls. We're good at kids. We're good at all of it. I think we set up people around us not to take on stuff because we think we're better at it. We think they're not as good at it. And then we set them up. And then when they do it, they don't do it as well as you because they won't, because they're not as good as you at it and they're not as practiced. Then we get to be right
Hmm.
that they couldn't handle it. So there's this whole pattern playing out where we've set it up honestly to be martyrs. I do it all, and we don't have
Complain
to.
about it, right? Then we want to complain about it, that
Yes.
we're all alone and I'm doing it all and I'm doing and then we're exhausted. Again,
Yeah.
creating our own hard, right? We're
Yeah.
creating.
And a complaint, by the way, is just something that isn't working for you or you don't like that you're unwilling to do anything about. You're unwilling to actually do something about it.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up partnership. And, I just heard recently somebody told me, like, why don't you ask for help? Like, why aren't you asking for help? Like, I'm here to help you. And I'm just like, you're busy. We can all make
Exactly.
excuses. Like, we can always think, like, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be a problem. I know they're super busy. They've got this going on. But at the end of the day, like, if it's selfish, human beings want to help other human beings, and
Yeah.
let's allow them to help us. And again, that's relationship, being in
Yeah.
relationship and creating that partnership. So thank you for bringing that up. So Lisa, tell us about your program, what you have going on, and how you can help us with our money.
Okay, I'm excited. So, as I was saying, about a decade ago, I got all into this. I started doing like a one night workshop, and then it kept growing and growing and growing, and so now I have a course called Money, Wealth, and Miracles,
Mm.
and it is an online, so it doesn't matter where people are, online course. It's 6 sessions, and in the 6 sessions, we uncover what's stopping you from your money flow. And then we add in nurture prosperity habits as well as take on your own conversation about your confidence, your wealth. And so it's coming up and it starts the end of January, January
Oh,
20. Yeah.
love it. I love it. I'm really excited about this. And you're going to tap into your vision. And it's not
Yeah.
just a vision. You get to go big on this vision. And if anybody is going to help you create a bigger vision than you could ever imagine, it is Lisa Kalmin. I'm just
Thank you.
letting you know because I know.
I was
I
like, wow, look what she's doing. This is so
Yeah,
exciting.
I have worked with her, and you are going to come up with a vision that you would never, ever expect. So if you're ready for more, if you're ready for your 2025 to really be your next level, this is the woman that's going to help you get there. So how do we find it? How do we reach out to you or sign up for it? Where's all the go-tos?
Yeah, the go-tos, you can, here's what I'll do. Let's drop in the show notes, we'll drop the link to money assessment, money mindset assessment, the under earning financial assessment quiz. And one thing, let me just say one last thing. Women have this, if you feel like you're spinning your wheels and you're working so hard and you know you're good at what you do and you're not bringing it in, there's something in the way. There's some stop in the way. Let's free that up. So you get paid what you're worth. So we'll drop a link for the assessment, the free assessment, and then also for the course. And it'll have the dates and everything on that. Great.
Perfect. We're going to give you all that information. And also, Lisa, where can they find you if they want to reach out and message you or connect with you?
Oh, on Facebook, Lisa Kalmin, my name, as well as Instagram. You can direct message me on any of those. Well, I'm on LinkedIn as well, just not as active.
Mm.
So Facebook or Instagram is a little better. Or my website, lisakalman.com, support at lisakalman.com. You can
Beautiful.
email me.
And we're going to have all of Lisa's contact information and links, all the good stuff, as well as the assessment link and the program inside the show notes. So make sure you reach out to her. Let her know that you heard her on the Be S.H.E podcast. Let her know you found her here. Lisa, thank you so much for being here. I have a couple more questions for you. They're fun.
Okay, great. Go for it.
Okay, first question is, what is something like a fun fact about you, Lisa, behind the scenes that we wouldn't know from working with you in transformation or seeing you on social media? Like, is there anything else that you'd like to
Okay.
share with us?
I'll give you two. One, I'm actually pretty funny. And number two is I have this incredible skill. You know, when you go to a restaurant or a bar and they give you the coasters, the little cardboard coasters,
Yeah.
I can flip them up and catch them, but I can grow the stack. Like I'm incredibly good at flipping it up and catching it.
Wow.
Yeah. So as a younger adult, I won many a free drink that way.
I can imagine you have.
So that's a fun fact.
Done before, so that's fun. That is definitely a fun fact. My second question is for if you could have lunch with anyone, historical,
Dead or alive.
dead or alive, it doesn't matter. Who would that be and why?
I always go back to Moses.
Oh, wow.
And I go back to Moses because, here he's kind of abandoned, as a child, and raised by, other people.
Mhm.
And the incredible faith that it took
Mhm.
to take a bunch of people, go out in the desert. I don't know if the Red Sea thing is true or not, whatever. But my point is just,
You can ask
yeah,
him.
yeah, just the incredible surrender to his faith and belief,
Yeah.
such that he would take that on
Yeah.
all the
Trust.
way,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Wow. That's an amazing answer. Thank you for that.
yeah, yeah.
So thank you again, Lisa, for being here. Is there one last thing that we didn't get to talk about or touch on that you'd like to share before we wrap?
Here's what I'll share. And I know most of your listeners are women. You are a magnificent being. You are magical. And you have already proven your incredible gift and beauty and love in the world. You don't need to prove anything else. It is your time to shine, and it is your time to step into who you are, what you're worth, and you have that capacity. As a human being, we all do. And I want you to know, I don't care what has been said. I don't care who told you what. I don't care what happened in the past. In this moment, you have an opportunity to be the woman you want to be. Period. End of story.
So good. And that is perfect way to end this because boom, mic drop from Lisa Kalmin. So thank you again, Lisa, for being here. It's been such a
You're
privilege.
welcome.
So
So
great
fun.
time.
Yeah. Thank you, Heidi.
And thank you for listening to us today and being here with Lisa and I on the Be S.H.E podcast. If you feel called to, please share this episode. Allow other women to step into their abundance and wealth with Lisa. And also leave a review if you call to. We'd love it. And thank you for being part of the Be S.H.E podcast. Be empowered to be seen and heard.